Okay, starting on the next little group of homework problems. And we're supposed to use the truth table to determine whether the argument is valid or invalid. So let's just start off with problem 13. So we have P or Q, P, and then we have not Q. And the arguments are valid if we do the truth tables correctly, then we end up with truths in the final column, all truths, which is called a something or other. Can't remember what it is, but it'll come to me. It's bothering me now. But anyway, so the question is, what steps do I have to use in doing this? So I'm going to need P and Q as columns. I also need 5 rows because I have 2 variables, and I have so that's 2 to the second power plus 1 for the header. So that's 5 rows. For the columns, I need P, Q, not Q. And when you do this, you're doing an AND statement. So these two you connect by the AND. Yes, you connect by the AND, these 2 statements by the AND. So, and then you connect this result here by the if-then statement, or the conjunction to this part. So I think I'm going to need P, Q, not Q. I'll need this. So that's 4. I'll need this with the AND statement, so that's 5. And then I'll need the whole thing, which is 6. So I think I need a 6 by, let's see how many rows. 5 rows by 6 columns. So I need a 5 by 6 table. 5 by 6. Let's just make an extra column just to be on the safe side. You can always leave a column blank, but it's hard to fit one in later. So what we do is we do P, Q, not Q. The next one is P and P or Q. That's that one. Then we do an AND statement between these two, between this and this. So it's going to be P or Q and P. And then we do this conjunction here. So it's going to be hard to fit all that in there. So I'm going to write it above here. And so what we'll have is P or Q. Then we have and P. And then we do this whole thing as an if-then statement with not Q. And that's the column here, which we hope is all truths if we want it to be a valid argument. So we start off as we normally do in truth tables. We do all the possible combinations of truths and falses. And that involves going 2 and then 2 as far as truths and falses, and then we alternate. We do not Q, which is false, true, false, true. Okay, now we use the disjunction, which is the or statement between these two. And for the or statement, the only time it's false is when they're both false. So we take that to be false, and then we make all the others true. Okay, now we're going to do this and that. So let's go ahead and put a little dot here to remind us what we're doing here. So it's red. It's this first, it's that second. So we need 2 truths. Really, the order doesn't matter in this case because it's an AND statement. So we have true, 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 false, false, false. So the first 2 are true, and the last 2 are false. And then finally, we do the if-then statement. So we're going to use if-then between this one and this one, where this is the first and this is second. So the only time this is false is if you go true, false. So, so this one is, so we do this, then that. This, then that. Just make sure true, false. Okay, so that's false. This is true. This is true, and this is true. So because they're not all true, then this is an invalid result, an invalid argument, which is the correct answer. But then again, I could, 60%, 50% chance, I guess, if you just picked valid versus invalid, half the time you'd be right. I'm going to not choose 16 because that one turns out to be invalid as well. So let's choose 15. So in this case, we have not P. If not P, then not Q. Then we have Q statement, and then the result is P. So we kind of do the same thing here. We have we need an additional column because we have not P. But then we need one for that, and we need one for this combined thing, and then for the whole thing. So we need how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one works out. We need one more column, so it'll be 5 by 7. Okay, so we have P, Q, not P, not Q. Then we do this top thing, not P, if not P, then not Q. Then we take this term, which I'll put in blue brackets so I can just simplify it. And so with that bracket thing there, and then we do it and Q. So we do this and then and that. And we'll call this whole thing in red parentheses. So we take the red parentheses and then we do the if-then statement with P, which is the final thing that we do. Kind of build up. Do the individual ones, do the negations. We do this one first, then we do this one and that, and then we do the whole thing, which is this part. If this part, then that part. Okay, so we have true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. Negation of P is false, false, true, true. Negation of Q is false, true, false, true. Now, we have the if-then involving these two, and the only time that it's false is if the first one is true and the second one is false, which is in this case. So we have true, true, false, true. Now we take this part and do an and with Q. So we're going to do these two right here. So it's this and that in the order. This is first and that second. Again, it's an and, so they both have to be true for this to be true. So we have true, true is true, true, false is false, false, true is false, and true, false is false. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to do the if-then statement with P. So let's put it in red. So we're going to take this one first, then we're going to do P, which is this one second. And it's if-then, so again, the only time you have a false is if you have a true and then a false. So we have true, true, which is true. We have false, true, which is also true. We have false, false, which is true. And we have false, false, which is true. And so you can see that we get all trues. This is the last column, and therefore it is a valid argument. Okay, let's keep going. So let's pick number 18. So we have not P. If not P, then Q. P, not Q. Okay, so how many? We need, again, 5 rows because we just have P and Q. We need P and Q, not P, not Q. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's the same as the previous one. So we need 5 by 7. P, Q, not P, not Q. not P, if not P, then Q. Then we take this term and we do AND P. This is the part we always do an AND. We call this red. The red thing is that part. So we do the red part, if the red part, then not Q. So we have true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false, 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 true, true, false, true, false, true. This is the conjunction, so again, we're going to do it in the order. This is going to be number 1, this is going to be number 2. It's an if-then statement, so the only time that it's false is if we have true false, which is this case. So this one's false. That makes all the others true. Okay, the next one we do is we take this term and we do an AND with P. So this is this one. And we do actually this part right there. And this is the first part, and this is the second part. It's AND, so they both have to be true for this to be true. So we have true, 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 false, false, true, false. Okay, finally, we have this one here. It's this one first, and this one second. I think I did something wrong here, didn't I? Yeah, this is not. Okay, let's go back. Made a mistake. This one was not P and Q, so this is it right there. Okay, sorry about that. So we have not P, if not P, then Q. Okay, it has to be true, false for it to be false. So the only one that's false is this one. The rest are true. True, false, true, true, false. Okay, that works out. Okay, now this one, so let's use blue. So what we're going to do is, let's see, what are we doing here? I think I need to use red. Hold on a second. So here what we're doing is this one versus this one. False, true, 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 false. Okay, that's right. Okay. Now what we're going to do is for the red one, we do this and that. So that's correct. Okay. And we are doing the AND statement. So these both have to be true. So I think they're still both true. True, true, false, false. So again, they both have to be true to have this be true. Okay, then as far as the next one is concerned, we take this thing and we match it up. So that's the first one, and then we have not Q, so that's the second one. And the only time this thing is true is if false is if you have, since you have a conditional, is when this is true and that's false. This is true and that's false. Okay, so we're comparing actually this and that. In this case, we have true, false, so that is false. This one is true, true, which is true, false, false, which is true, and false, true, which is true. So we don't have all trues, and therefore it is an invalid argument. Okay, let's do 21. So 21, let's actually do 22. 22 is if P, then Q, and if Q then P, which that's that biconditional thing. And then you have P, Q, and P results in R, oh, wrong, looking in the wrong place here, is P or Q. Make sure I got all that right, because there's a lot of parts involved. No, I didn't write that down right. Just look at the wrong. Okay, P or Q. Okay, I think that's right. So we have P and Q, so that's 2 columns. We have this and that, which is 3 and 4. We have that, which is 5. We have this, which is 6, and we have that, which is 7. So we should need about a 5 by 7 matrix. And let me put this on one page so I can make it bigger, and I may be able to fit something in a little bit. Okay, so my column headings are P, Q. Then we have if P then Q. We have if Q then P. We have this term right there. Then we take this term and we do an AND with P. So we do this and that. And we'll call this part blue. So we take the blue thing and do an if then with, oh, we also need this, we actually do one more column, which is crap. So okay, so I guess I'm going to have to redo it here. So I need one more column. So I need a 5 by 8. Okay, let's try it again. P, Q. If P, then Q. If Q, then P. Then our top statement. Say that's red. So we take the red and we do an AND with P, because we do an AND between these two. We'll call this whole thing blue. So then we have blue. Actually, before we do that though, we need to do one more column, which is this one, P or Q. Let's call that green. So then the final thing that we do is we do the blue, if the blue, then the green. Okay, this is supposed to be valid according to the answer, so hopefully it works out. Okay, so we have true, true, false, false. True, false, true, false. This is a conditional. The only time it's false is under these conditions, everything else is true. When you go the other direction, this one's the one that becomes false, and this, all the rest are true. So this is false, this is true, true, true. Okay. Now we do an AND between these two. So the only time this AND of these two is true is if they're both true, which is in this case true. This is false. These are two false because we don't have both true. Now we're going to take the red thing, which is this one, and we're going to do AND P. So let's say this is going to be the blue. We're going to do this first. And we're going to let's use blue, not black. So we're going to want to use this first and this second. And it's AND, so they both have to be true. So true, true is true. False, true is false. False, false is false. And true, false is false. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do this part. which is just the union of P and Q, which is only false when they're both false. So this one's false, but all the other ones are true, because that's the disjunction. We have 3 trues and 1 false. Now, the final one here, the green, is going to be, let's see, this term first, and this term second, because this term here is this whole thing. And then this second term is the conclusion. And then we're using an if-then. So the only time this is false is if this is true and that's false. So true, true is true, false, true is true, and false, false is true. And so in this case, what you end up with is true. That's also true for the conditional true, true. And so since they're all true, that is a valid argument. Okay, we're going to stop here for a second.